The massive stone tablet floated in the void between stars, older than most civilizations in the galaxy. Captain James stood on the observation deck of the human exploration vessel Pioneer, watching as the alien artifact rotated slowly before them. The ancient symbols carved into its surface glowed with a faint blue light. "Translation complete, Captain," said Lieutenant Anna from her station. Her voice carried a mix of wonder and concern. "It's a prophecy, written by a race called the Makers." James moved closer to the main screen, where the translated text appeared. The message was clear and terrifying. It spoke of a great darkness that would consume the galaxy, an enemy from beyond known space that had destroyed countless universes before this one. The Makers had seen their coming in visions and left warnings across the galaxy. "Read the last part again," James ordered. Anna cleared her throat. "When the void-born hunters arrive with their endless hunger, only the youngest children of the stars will stand. Those who know war in their bones, who carry violence as both curse and gift. The galaxy's last warriors will rise from the world of blue and green, third from their sun." The bridge fell silent. Earth was the third planet from Sol. Humanity was among the youngest spacefaring races, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 200 years ago. Dr. Marcus, the ship's historian, spoke up from his corner. "Captain, this matches with 17 other prophecies we found in alien ruins. Different words, same meaning. They all point to Earth." James felt the weight of destiny settling on his shoulders. Humanity had always been different from other species they'd encountered. While the Galactic Council preached peace and had forgotten how to fight, humans still remembered. War was in their history, their stories, their very DNA. What others saw as humanity's great shame might be the galaxy's only hope. "Send a priority message to Earth Command," James commanded. "Tell them we found proof of the coming dark. And tell them, humanity has been chosen." The crew worked in tense silence as the message was prepared. Through the viewport, distant stars twinkled peacefully, unaware of the storm approaching. James thought about Earth's history. Countless wars, endless conflicts, brothers fighting brothers. Humanity had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war before reaching the stars. The Galactic Council had been horrified when they learned human history, calling them primitives and WARMOGERS. But the Makers knew better. They had seen what was coming and knew that warriors would be needed. Not diplomats, not philosophers, but fighters who understood sacrifice and courage. "Captain," Anna's voice interrupted his thoughts. "We're receiving a transmission. It's not from Earth." The main screen flickered to life, showing a creature of impossible beauty and terror. It had no fixed form, shifting between shadow and substance, with eyes that burned like dying stars. Children of Earth, it spoke directly into their minds, its voice like breaking glass. "We are the Devourers. We have consumed 1 trillion souls across 1,000 universes. Your Makers fled before us, leaving only their pathetic warnings. You cannot stop what has already begun." The transmission ended, leaving the crew shaken. But James stood straighter, feeling something awaken in his chest, not fear, but determination. A same feeling his ancestors must have felt facing impossible odds throughout history. "Anna, update that message to Earth," he said, his voice steady and strong. "Tell them the enemy has revealed themselves. Tell them humanity's true purpose has been unveiled. We weren't meant to be peaceful members of the galaxy. We were meant to be its shields, its swords, its last line of defense." He looked at his crew, seeing the same fire igniting in their eyes. The Makers foretold it. The galaxy needs warriors, and there's only one species that never forgot how to fight. Humanity will answer the call. As the Pioneer turned toward Earth, carrying news that would change everything, the ancient tablet continued its eternal rotation. The prophecy had been delivered. The last warriors had been found. The war for existence was about to begin. Asterisk. The Grand Assembly Hall of Earth Command had never been so full. President Walker stood at the podium, looking out at the gathered leaders from every nation. Behind her, the massive screen displayed the footage from the Pioneer, the ancient prophecy, and the chilling message from the Devourers. 3 weeks ago, we were just another young species finding our place in the galaxy. Walker began, her voice carrying across the silent hall. Today, we know our true purpose. The universe itself has called upon humanity to stand against the darkness. General Thompson, Earth's military commander, stepped forward. We've analyzed the threat. The Devourers consume entire solar systems, draining them of all energy and life. The Galactic Council's peaceful races have no weapons, no armies. They've forgotten how to fight after millennia of peace. The screen changed, showing Earth's hidden military installations. But we haven't forgotten. Project SHIELD, which we've kept secret from the Council, gives us 20,000 warships. It's not enough, but it's a start. Ambassador Lee from the Mars colony raised his hand. What about the other races? Will they accept our help? They've always looked down on us for our violent past. Walker's expression hardened. They'll have no choice. We've already received distress signals from 7 systems on the galaxy's edge. The Devourers are moving faster than expected. The room erupted in discussion, but a young voice cut through the noise. Lieutenant David from the Space Force Academy had been invited as the representative of Earth's youth. With respect, we're thinking too small. Everyone turned to look at the young man. He continued, humanity's strength isn't just our weapons or our knowledge of war. It's our spirit. Every human child grows up hearing stories of heroes who faced impossible odds. We celebrate those who sacrifice themselves for others. We're the only species that runs toward danger instead of away from it. He pulled up historical images on his tablet, broadcasting them to the main screen. Look at our history. 300 Spartans at Thermopylae, the defenders of the Alamo, the resistance fighters of World War II. We don't just fight, we inspire others to fight. That's what the prophecy really means. General Thompson nodded slowly. The boy's right. We need to do more than build ships. We need to awaken the fighting spirit in every human and teach the other races what we know. Walker made her decision. Then we implement Protocol Omega. Every human between ages 18 and 60 begins combat training immediately. Our factories will switch to war production. We'll share our military knowledge with any race willing to learn. The Galactic Council won't approve, someone called out. The Council can burn, Walker replied firmly. They had 10,000 years to prepare for threats, and they chose to forget that dangers exist. We've had space travel for 2 centuries, and we're the only ones ready to fight. That tells you everything about why humanity was chosen. Over the following days, Earth transformed. Cities that had known peace for generations suddenly hummed with purpose. Factories that built consumer goods retooled for weapons production. Children played war games that were actually training simulations. The elderly shared stories of ancient battles, keeping the warrior spirit alive. The most remarkable change came from the colonies. Mars, despite its harsh environment, had bred tough people. They volunteered their entire population for the war effort. The mining stations in the asteroid belt converted their equipment into weapons. Even the peaceful science station on Europa offered their resources. Captain James arrived from deep space with more discoveries. We found maker weapons caches hidden across the galaxy. They left us tools, but only humans can activate them. They're keyed to our specific genetic markers, to our capacity for violence balanced with compassion. The first test came sooner than expected. A Devourer scout force attacked the Centauri system, where a small human colony lived alongside the peaceful Centaurians. The aliens prepared to surrender, but the 50 humans refused. Armed with mining equipment and improvised weapons, they held the capital city for 3 days until Earth's fleet arrived. The footage of human colonists standing over injured Centaurians, fighting with savage determination, spread across the galaxy. For the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy witnessed true warriors in action. And in that moment, the other races began to understand why the ancient prophecy had chosen humanity. Earth stood ready. Humanity had answered the call. Asterisk, asterisk. The Battle of Kepler Station would be remembered as the moment the galaxy learned what humans were truly capable of. Admiral Roberts stood on the bridge of the battleship Defiant, watching as 300 Devourer ships emerged from dark space. Against them, he had 30 human vessels and a space station full of civilians from 12 different species. "Sir, the Galactic Council is ordering us to evacuate," reported Commander Smith. "They say the odds are impossible." Roberts smiled grimly. "Impossible odds? Sounds like Tuesday for humanity. Tell the Council we're not going anywhere, and open a channel to all ships." His voice rang out across the fleet. "Today, we show the universe why humanity was chosen. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. Good. That means we don't have to worry about missing. Remember your training, trust your instincts. And let's remind these monsters why they should fear the children of Earth." The Devourers attacked with overwhelming force, their ships releasing waves of dark energy that drained power from everything they touched. But humans had learned something about fighting over their long history. Sometimes the best defense was a suicidal offense. Captain Mike of the destroyer Phoenix was the first to prove it. As his ship's power failed, he redirected all remaining energy to engines and rammed directly into the enemy command vessel. The explosion tore a hole in the Devourer formation. "Phoenix is down," someone shouted. "No," Roberts corrected. "Phoenix just showed us the way. All ships, prepare for close combat. They drain energy? Fine. We'll fight with kinetics and courage." The human fleet abandoned traditional space combat doctrine. Instead of maintaining distance, they charged directly into the enemy formation. The destroyer Warrior used its hull as a battering ram. The corvette Last Stand detonated its reactor core inside a cluster of enemy ships. On Kepler Station, the alien civilians watched in awe and horror as humans fought with primitive fury. When the Devourers boarded the station, they expected easy prey. Instead, they found Chief Engineer Tony and his team of mechanics armed with welding torches and mining drills. "You want to eat something?" Tony roared, driving a drill through a Devourer's shifting form. "Choke on this." The security footage would later show 20 humans holding a corridor against hundreds of Devourers for 6 hours. They used everything as weapons, furniture, tools, even their own bodies. When ammunition ran out, they fought with bare hands. The turning point came when Lieutenant Sarah discovered something crucial. The Devourers fed on fear and despair, but humans had learned to weaponize their emotions differently. When Private John watched his best friend fall, he didn't despair. He got angry. "You killed Tom!" John screamed, grabbing a Devourer with his bare hands. Something impossible happened. The creature's form solidified where he touched it, and it screamed. Human rage, pure and focused, could hurt them. The word spread quickly through the station. Humans began fighting with deliberate fury, channeling generations of warrior heritage into every blow. The Devourers, who had consumed countless peaceful civilizations, had never encountered anything like this. On the Defiant, Admiral Roberts made a desperate decision. "All remaining ships, form up on me. We're going to show them human military history lesson number 1. When outnumbered, attack harder." The 7 surviving human ships formed a spearhead and drove directly toward the Devourer flagship. The enemy couldn't understand the tactic. These humans were clearly losing, yet they attacked with even greater ferocity. The flagship tried to retreat, but the humans pursued relentlessly. The Defiant, down to 10% power, used its final weapons in a desperate gambit. Roberts personally led a boarding party onto the enemy flagship. The battle inside the Devourer ship was brutal. Humans fought in the darkness, guided only by rage and determination. Roberts found the enemy commander, a massive creature of living shadow. "You cannot win," it hissed. "We are eternal. We are hunger itself." Roberts, bleeding from dozens of wounds, smiled. "And we're humanity. We eat the impossible for breakfast." He detonated the nuclear device strapped to his chest. The explosion destroyed the Devourer flagship and scattered the enemy fleet. The remaining Devourers retreated, their first defeat in eons. Kepler Station was saved, though at terrible cost. 23 of 30 human ships destroyed, over 3,000 human lives lost. But across the galaxy, the message was clear. Humanity had drawn first blood. The last warriors had proven they could make even eternal hunger fear them. The victory at Kepler Station changed everything. For the first time in 10 millennia, the peaceful races of the Galactic Council had witnessed war, real war, not the sanitized historical records they kept in archives. The footage of humans fighting with primitive weapons and bare hands against cosmic horrors spread across every civilized world. High Counselor Vex of the Altarians stood before the emergency session, his forearms trembling. The humans lost 80% of their forces and call it victory. They celebrate death in battle. They are insane. No, interrupted Elder Kai of the Xenathi, one of the oldest races. They are what we forgot how to be. Watch the footage again. See how they protect others while fighting. That human, Tony, died holding a corridor so alien children could escape. This isn't madness. It's nobility. Ambassador Lisa from Earth had been invited to speak. She stood, still wearing her military uniform stained with blood from the latest battle. "You want to know the difference between humans and you? We remember that peace is not the absence of conflict. It's what you fight to protect. You've had peace so long you forgot it must be defended." She activated a hologram showing human history. "We spent 10,000 years learning these lessons the hard way. Every generation of humans knows war's cost because we teach them. Not to glorify it, but to understand that sometimes fighting is the only moral choice." Young voices began speaking up from various delegations. Members of species who had been born after their races achieved perfect peace. "Teach us," called out a young Proximan. "Show us how to fight like humans." The older council members were horrified, but more young voices joined in. They had seen their worlds burn while their leaders debated. They had watched humans die protecting them. The choice was clear. Lisa smiled. "Earth extends an invitation to any who wish to learn. We'll share everything, our weapons, our tactics, our warrior spirit. But understand, once you learn to fight, you can never fully return to innocence." Within days, thousands of young aliens arrived on Earth and Mars for training. The human instructors were shocked at first. These beings had no concept of violence. A Centaurian cadet fainted seeing a historical war film. A young Altarian couldn't understand why humans would charge toward danger. Drill Sergeant Williams, a veteran of the Mars uprising, took a different approach. "You think fighting is about violence? You're wrong. Look." He showed them a human mother defending her child from a predator. "Fighting is about love. You fight because something matters more than your life." The transformation was remarkable. The peaceful races didn't become human. They became something new. The Altarians, with their 4 arms, developed a martial art that humans couldn't match. The telepathic Bethani learned to coordinate in ways that amazed human tacticians. Each race found their own way to be warriors. Meanwhile, Human scientists worked with alien technologists to prepare for the real war. The Maker's caches revealed weapons beyond imagination, but they required human activation and alien technical expertise to function properly. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source. 10-year-old Emma, daughter of a human soldier and an Altarian scientist, discovered she could activate Maker technology more easily than pure humans. The hybrid children, once viewed with suspicion, were the key. The Makers knew, Professor Allen explained to the Council. They knew that humanity's greatest strength wouldn't be our violence alone, but our ability to inspire others. These children represent the galaxy's future, the joining of human warrior spirit with alien wisdom. The Devourers returned in force, attacking 3 systems simultaneously. But this time, they faced not just humans, but a united galaxy. Altarian ships flew alongside human vessels. Cenathi ground forces, trained by human marines, held defensive positions. Even the pacifist Cloudians found their way to contribute, using their gaseous forms to infiltrate enemy ships. The Battle of New Paradise showed how much had changed. When Devourer forces surrounded a colony of mixed species, the defense wasn't just human. A young Proximan named River led a charge that would have made ancient Earth warriors proud. A gentle Bethani teacher named Song turned her classroom into a fortress. Protecting children of 6 different species, Captain James, now Admiral, watched from his flagship as the United Fleet drove back the Devourers. "Look at them," he told his mixed-species bridge crew. 6 months ago, they couldn't even watch violent movies. Now they're warriors. "No, sir," corrected his Altarian first officer. "Now we're all human, in the way that matters." A galaxy had awakened. The last warriors were no longer just humanity. They were everyone willing to stand and fight. Asterisk. The Devourer Primarch emerged from the void between dimensions, a creature so vast that its shadow darkened entire star systems. This was their ultimate weapon, the entity that had consumed countless universes before arriving in this one. Every previous civilization had fallen before it. Admiral James stood in the combined Fleet Command Center orbiting Earth, representatives from every allied race at their stations. The past year had transformed the galaxy. Former peaceful races now crewed warships. Human military academies operated on every major world. The warrior spirit had spread like wildfire. "Readings are off the scale," reported Commander Anna, now serving alongside her Cenathi counterpart. "The Primarch is drawing energy from space itself. Our weapons won't even scratch it." On the main screen, they watched the Primarch's approach. Entire fleets that got too close simply ceased to exist, absorbed into its endless hunger. The Galactic Council's doomsday projections showed total galactic consumption within 7 days. "There is one option," said Elder Marcus, the human historian who had become the keeper of Maker knowledge. "The final cache we found on Earth's moon." The Makers called it the Last Gambit. He revealed the truth they'd hidden from the Council. The Makers hadn't fled. They had sacrificed themselves and their universe to wound the Devourers enough to delay them. They left instructions for the next universe's warriors, hoping someone would be strong enough to finish what they started. "It requires a living consciousness to guide it into the Primarch's core," Marcus continued. "And that consciousness must be capable of channeling the combined will of an entire galaxy's defiance. The Makers couldn't do it. They were too evolved, too far from their primitive roots. But humans aren't," James understood immediately. "We're still young enough, still violent enough, still primitive enough to burn with the kind of rage needed." The room fell silent as every human present volunteered simultaneously. But young River, the Proximan warrior trained by humans, spoke up. "Not just humans. Not anymore. You taught us to fight. We all carry the warrior spirit now." The plan was insane by any measure. They would use every ship, every weapon, every life if necessary, to create an opening. One volunteer would carry the maker weapon into the Primarch's core, channeling the galaxy's combined defiance to destroy it from within. A lottery to choose the volunteer was held, but Private Daniel rigged it to choose himself. The young man who had joined after Kepler Station had lost everything to the Devourers. "I've got nothing left to lose and everything to fight for," he said simply. The final battle began at the edge of Earth's solar system. Every ship in the galaxy had gathered: human destroyers, Altarian swift runners, Xanathi dreadnoughts, even tiny Cloudian scout wisps. Billions of beings linked their minds through Bethani telepathic networks, focusing their will on one goal: defiance. "Today, we are all human," Admiral James broadcast to the combined fleet. "Today, we stand as the Makers hoped someone would. Not as separate races, but as one galaxy refusing to go quietly into the dark." The assault was devastating. Ships rammed the Primarch, detonating in futile attempts to wound it. Entire battalions transported onto its surface, fighting manifestations of pure hunger. For every meter gained, hundreds died, but something unprecedented happened. As each warrior fell, their defiance didn't die. It accumulated, building into a psychic storm that even the Primarch noticed. The peaceful races who had learned war in months fought with the fury of species who had known conflict for millennia. Daniel, piloting a specially modified fighter, dove toward the opening created by 10,000 sacrifices. The Maker weapon pulsed with power drawn from every defiant soul in the galaxy. As he approached the Primarch's core, reality itself began to break down. "Can you hear them?" Daniel broadcast, laughing as his ship disintegrated around him. Every human who ever stood against impossible odds. Every alien who chose to fight instead of surrender. "We're all here with you, you hungry bastard. And we say nitrogen monoxide." He reached the core and activated the weapon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Primarch screamed, a sound that shattered planets. The combined defiance of an entire galaxy, channeled through humanity's warrior gift and amplified by the Maker weapon, tore through the Devourer from within. The explosion could be seen from every world. The Primarch collapsed into itself, taking the remaining Devourers with it. The threat that had consumed universes was ended by a galaxy that refused to be consumed. In the aftermath, as the allied races rebuilt, monuments rose on every world. Not to victory, but to the moment when humanity's gift became everyone's salvation. The last warriors hadn't just been foretold, they had been forged, and they had taught an entire galaxy to stand and fight. The prophecy was complete. The galaxy was free. Asterisk.